There's an obsession with diamond patches in MC culture. Everybody wants to be a diamond. Today, we're going to talk about the reverse, an established club taking the diamond patch off. Let's get into it.
We run the night, we run the night, run.
So let's talk about like the whole big situation that's going on with the club now, with the diamond and stuff like that, and you know why you decided to walk away from it.
It wasn't people me. It wasn't me. It was look. I'm the international president and founder of the club, but I'm like the Queen of England, and so to speak. Like I have there's no queen anymore, the king, right?
Yeah.
So but even that word king, I don't want to use it, but not that queen is any better. But the point of fact is, we our cabinet votes for everything.
You know what? We should give a little knowledge about that first, because I talk about it a lot, about the board. A lot of people think like there's one president and what he says goes, but a lot of times it's a whole board, and people don't understand that board kind of like makes a lot of the decisions.
Sure.
So you could be pres of the whole club and 4 other brothers on that board disagree, and your decision is not. They're not going with your decision.
There's plenty of things that I've tried to put on the table to the guys, just from some of my old school knowledge and being in this in this life. And I say this life, going from my street gang life to the days of being, whether it was boxing or working with the wise guys in New York, that era, and my motorcycle era, outlaw clubs and things like that, to where I am now. And so sometimes the guys will ask me advice, but I can't even throw a member out. Like if there's a dude, I'm like, yo, I want to throw this dude out. I don't have the power to do that. I mean, everyone's got to, has to be a vote, have to. So, that's a common myth, particularly even in our club, that people think that, look, the story of our diamond goes back to when this club was a splinter group of, and I hate to talk about other clubs, you know what I mean, because it's not really, but, in this story I have to, so, we were the splinter group of Legion of Doom. So Legion of Doom had the get busy, however you want to categorize it, guys in the club wore a Redrum crew patch and had and I created that, and I created the 13.5 diamond for us, for just a handful of guys in Legion of Doom who handle business for the club and wore that. So when we left Legion of Doom and we started Redrum Crew, I took that diamond, and that was the beginning of the club. I mean, the beginning of the club, all the first, 5 or 6 members were all about that life and had all, and so a lot of them had come from Legion of Doom and came over to Redrum. We were riding Harleys and stuff, and it just didn't fit in the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
I had a race bike too, but I wanted to ride Harleys, and so it didn't really fit into LOD is a race bike club, and I love that club, like I love those brothers, it means a lot to me. You always have to acknowledge where you came from to know where you're going.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, when we started Redrum, we just put it on because we all at the beginning. And then as more guys started coming, we just left the diamond on, because when we was Redrum Crew at that time, patch was different, mentality of the club was different. We were an outlaw club, and the diamond meant that. The diamond meant we were a diamond club. Yeah, we were an outlaw club.
Did it start off indigenous right away?
No. Okay. I mean, my brother, my youngest brother, his name is Wayasti. He's started it with me with the native part, and that's when what really happened was I had this vision, of And I gotta also say too that my oldest brother Angel, in Pennsylvania had started an it was like Native American Biker Alliance, I think it was called, and he had a Native American based club in Pennsylvania, so it was sort of based on that ideology, but my oldest brother had done it first, in Pennsylvania, and I had the vision, look, I had been working with Native organizations, creating Native events. I've been on the front lines of Native protests and for 30 years. I mean, the first movement that ever made me move into my Native, mentality was 1992 in front of the United Nations at the 500th anniversary of Columbus. And that just changed me.
And this was while you were in LOD, you were still involved with all this stuff?
Yeah, I was still running. Yeah, LOD used to come to all my powwows and all that, and
that's cool.
And my brother was, and there were a lot of natives in LOD too. There's a chapter in Cherokee, in North Carolina, and so nonetheless, I had this vision, and I woke up and I created the patch, the circle, meaning the circle of the earth, the 3 skulls, and 3 is a powerful number. And so the 3 skulls, the paint, the 4 races of man, the peace signs being very important. I wanted to create a club that would be warriors for the people, like something bigger than just brotherhood and riding. Mm-hmm. And so I created this whole vision for the club, the warriors for people, positivity on 2 wheels. That's another one of our slogans, being positive, and spreading positivity. And nothing against, and what I try to tell guys who join and they rephrase it in a way as if what the other clubs do is wrong. And no, man, it was just something different.
Real quick, if you enjoy MC Culture content, smash the like and the subscribe button. Give me a pound wherever you're from. Get your Ghostavelli mask, shades, Demons Row snapbacks in all colors, tank tops, crew necks, track races. We got it all. And you can get it on www.demonsrow.com. Let's get back into it.
It's just other clubs can do, whatever they want. Outlaw clubs, and it's nothing. Listen, some of the greatest times I ever had in my life were in that as an outlaw, in outlaw clubs, in 1% clubs, in that, nothing to frown on that. I just at this stage wanted to go somewhere different, and so I redid the patch. I got rid of Redrum Crew, and to be honest with you, the 13 and a half, we changed it because the 13 and a half. At that time meant, we'll do anything for this patch and this club and this diamond, 13 and a half. And what we rephrased it as, when I had this vision, I rephrased the mentality of it as, be careful what you do, because those odds are against you. And especially when you're a minority person, right? Especially up here in New York. I can't speak for other places, and I'm not saying that guys that face those odds in other races of guys don't. It's not a harsh reality, but I can only speak for my existence. Like the times I got hemmed up, and so I felt like when I sat in courtrooms, everybody was, you sit in a New York courtroom and everyone is black and brown.
Yeah.
So that was where I came with it. Like be careful. These odds are not for us. And so I took that mentality and that was where I changed it into Redrum, kept the diamond, but the meaning now was different. We were no longer an outlaw club, and nowhere in our bylaws that we ever mention a diamond. It was just the 13 and a half. And so what I tried to do was redefine a shape that had already been established for 50, 60 years. And the people who wear it, that's what it means to them. And in all reality, I should have just changed it there. But it didn't occur to me, it wasn't in my vision of the patch, because the patch was really a dream, bro. I woke up and I drew this story of the patch and created it, and our patch has a complete story, but that, for some reason, that diamond wasn't in the dream, and I just left it alone, and we wore it. We wore it for 17 years. And of course there were, hiccups here and there when we were trying to start somewhere. Some dominant would say, yo, we don't want you wearing that. And we would politic, whatever. And but long story short, as we started to grow and as we started to get bigger, of course it became more. And it doesn't help when when you did all those Cliff, the creator of the 13 and a half diamond, and then that, on top of everything, right? Yeah, sure, I created it. But then people started running with it. Listen, the diamond has a specific shape. You wore a diamond in your days as a 1%er. You knew exactly what it meant. A diamond club is a diamond club. And I got to be honest with you, in the 15 years or maybe longer, right? That we wore that diamond with red rum and with the mission of the club, we never did anything diamond. When we didn't conduct ourselves in a diamond way. We were not a diamond club. We were wearing a shape of a diamond, but we were not a diamond club. That was, that's not even, our mission, you read our mission, is about peace, positivity, spreading. The shape of a diamond means this is precious to me, and I will do anything to defend it. And that's really what the diamond shape represents. For us, we always try to come with peace and positivity and sitting down and negotiating and being, what we stood for were things that were addressing the communities. Like we went to Standing Rock and went to Mauna Kea and stood in line with the people and the powers that be that were oppressing them, that sort of thing. Yeah. But not against other clubs, and not, for our thing is like, we want to be in a harmonious environment with our fellow brothers that ride, regardless of what club you're in. And that was our mentality, and so many dominants didn't like the fact that we were redefining this shape. When people see that shape, it's supposed to mean exactly what it means. And now we were giving another side to it that is not what it means. And here's the crazy part. People started copying it. Do you know how many clubs? I just ran into a club in California that had it on, and I was like, and the guy walked up to me, he goes, "Hey man, you're the one who created this." I'm like, "Yeah." And just like a few weeks ago, a guy was wearing, his club was wearing it, and there are clubs in Canada who put it on, and in all reality, the only club other than us that were part of the original story of it and who are connected to it and its creation. It's always beautiful when you're connected to the creation of something, that you're not just putting something on because someone else is wearing it, but you're connected to its actual creation. The only club that was Legion of Doom. And not everyone wears it. They have their thing, and I don't get into their club business or how it's, done or whatever. But that was it. It was us and them. So in order, you're growing, right? So you're in a club, you're growing, you're popping up, you have chapters that are growing, you're trying to do it in a good way, sitting down, negotiating, respecting the old school brothers that have been doing this for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And, us, we're like rookies in this, right? And all of a sudden, you get a well-respected dominant, a big club. It says, you know what? In these areas, your guys can't wear it. If you want to be here in these areas, your guys can't wear it. And now you got to sit back. You got to go back and go, hold on a second. If you're a diamond club, That's not an option. But we're not a diamond club. We never were a diamond club.
But you know what's funny about that? Like, there are diamond clubs that will live at the border of a state and wear another state so that they can still wear their diamond. So it's like everybody acts like, oh, I just put it on and we're so tough and we hold it down. There's a lot of, stuff that people don't know about the culture, that a lot of these clubs are not wearing the diamond in the area where that club that really runs the show is at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I'm not privy to all that information, but I'm sure it's happening. Or the main thing for us was that we're not a diamond club. No one in this club, except for the old school original guys who were Red Rum crew, had experience in this club. I mean, there were guys, ex-1%ers who joined the club, absolutely. But as far as membership in Red Rum, who lived that, because that was the diamond life was the beginning and the founding of this club, right? But we gave that up. When we took off Red Rum crew, we became Red Rum. And so, our thing was, if we're taking it off anywhere, we need to take it off everywhere.
Was that a hard struggle? Like, should we just not move into these areas? Or was it pretty simple for you? Because like you said, you weren't wanting to go to war over it. Not that it wasn't a fear thing. It's just, it's not what the mission was.
Look, when a very well old school respected club comes to you in a good way, because listen, you know how things can go sideways with a dominant club, right? And they're educating, like, you guys ain't living diamond. Yeah, you're right. We're not living a diamond life. Like, we're not. And what's happening more so, right? Like, you did your story on it, so it's getting out there. And clubs that have seen your story on it, they put it on. They're clubs that copied and just put it. It's all over the place. And so what's happening is that shape, which has a specific meaning to the 1%ers who wear it. That's what that shape was created for when it was put on those vests. It's being redefined, right? 99 clubs are putting it on. Clubs, look, I've like I said, I loved the old life, right? For me, I would never frown upon it. When guys in our club want to go that way, and look, there were a handful of guys who said, "I'm leaving. We want to wear that diamond." In our club, they didn't do anything diamond, but they went and started hanging out with a 1% diamond club. And God bless them. I'm like, you know what? They were real about it. They were like, yo, we that diamond meant a lot to us. I can't argue. We never argue or discourage anyone who's in this life that wants to go and step it up and go to a diamond club or a 1% club. God bless you. I never talk bad about that life. If that's the life for me. I spent a lot of years. I've been in a lot of situations. I've faced, multiple cases from that life. And so for me, it was just like, you know what? I think I'm going to bow out now while I'm ahead. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you're in that life that has to happen, but that's just the type of dude I was when I was in it. I'm 100 or none. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like for me, the type of guy that I was when I was in that life, if I would have stayed, I wouldn't be sitting here with you, like because I'm 0 to 100. And so part of changing my mentality and changing who I was and trying to be peaceful and calm and part of that was removing that mentality from my life and creating this Red Rum as being this club serving the people, doing all the beautiful indigenous stuff. Like you go on our page, like all the beautiful indigenous stuff that we do in all the communities, constantly serving the communities. I mean, our Sturgis run, we had over 260 bikes, at our run. A run at Gathering of Nations, which is one of the big powers that we do, a MMIW ride. We had way over 300 bikes there, you know, with prayer and song. And like, that's the stuff that's important to me now, you know, and nowhere within that does a diamond fit. It's not part of that existence, you know? And so out of respect for all those clubs who are repping that diamond in the traditional way that it's supposed to be repped, all the dominant clubs, all the support clubs, whatever, we took it off because we were not living that life. And we were setting an example that people were following. And it's the wrong example because you put that shape on, it means exactly what it means. And that's it. There's no gray area.
What people don't understand too is like, people have asked me a lot of times, like, yo, why don't you start a club? Because I don't want to ask nobody for permission, and I live a certain way. But if you want to join and you live in Florida, you might not be built like that. And that's where, you know, like when you was in Brooklyn, obviously you put in the footwork, people know who you are. But then with expansion, this is the stuff people don't understand. When you start getting big and you're in other areas, now you got to deal with different diamonds, different areas. So then you have to figure out, well, what are we really? You know, or is this what we're about? Are we a diamond club? So I have a lot of respect for the move you made. And like I told you, I had a diamond come to me and ask me, he said he was formerly in the club, and he said, well, what about the people that were like in Europe that had to, you know, go through struggles to wear that 13 and a half diamond? What do you feel about that part, about like the people that...
Nowhere in our club has, no one in this club, whether in Europe or has had any struggle, if you're talking physical, ever for this diamond. None, no one. I mean, we have, you know, always sat down and had good negotiations, and whether, you know, starting up or, that's not the path that we go. You know, that's just not. Look, I look at it like this. Every time I've been blessed in my life to have been, you know, stabbed and chopped and shot and I'm still here. And I've been blessed in my life to have not hurt someone in such a way that it would jeopardize my life and my future. In the physical confrontations that I've experienced in my life, right? So I look at that I am not in a position right now mentally to physically, sure. I mean, I keep myself in, you know, in tone, you know. Yeah. But mentally, that's not where I want to be, and I don't want to be with guys that are that mentality, you know, because that's just not me in my club. I'm saying, yeah, I'm with guys like that all the time. You know what I mean? I go back to Brooklyn, go hang out on my block, and there's still some old school dudes that are still there. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, I just don't, you know, that's not the direction of our club. You know. Because this, you know, although we're serving the community and we're having fun and riding bikes and having camaraderie with not just our brothers, but all the blessings of meeting brothers from all different walks of life, different clubs, I love that. You know what I mean? Like I love, you know, meeting other brothers, other clubs, the mission that they do and how they serve. And every club, whether you're the biggest 1% club or the smallest 99% club, everybody has a place in this if they're doing it the right way with positivity and spreading their message. You know what I mean? You know, the word positivity, you know, is flexible in this thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, it's maybe positive for you, maybe not negative for someone else, and that, you know, everybody's got to work that out in their own way. You know what I'm saying? But the you know, what I say is what works for me and works for you. And I always say you have to do what serves you. Mm-hmm. And that if the way you're living is serving you in that way, then God bless you, man. Me, I have to, you know, do and live the way I feel that serves me and in that good way, you know.
Do you think us as a culture have become too fascinated with numbers, shapes, you know, like things that, like everyone forever this, forever that, and it's like it's just a carbon copy carbon copy of everybody else. And no disrespect
Yeah,
to the clubs that have been doing it forever,
Yeah.
but even the new people that are starting stuff, they want to do the same thing. They want to have the number representing their club, and they want the bottom rocker that says the state, and it's just a lot of problems, bro.
Right.
At the end of the day,
like I try to do things that make sense for us, not copy anyone else's. I can't say that not Shapes, right? Because we copied that diamond and we put 13 and a half in it. But we were following that way when we first created the club, when it was Redrum Crew. So I could say I'm also guilty of that too. But everything after, within our club, there was a lot of things that we don't do that other clubs do. That's part of the norm. And that's just our thing, like I'm not going to mention it because I don't want to frown upon what other clubs are doing. Like I said, God bless them. That works for them. We just try to do something that works for us in in a different way. You follow? But yeah, I mean, there were a lot of guys who were attached to the shape of this diamond, but didn't really understand that they were in a club that was not living that diamond life. You know what I mean? Like, and that's, at the end of the day, it's not a shape, it's a lifestyle.
yeah.
And when you put that on, is it the lifestyle? We were very blessed and lucky to wear that thing for like 15 some odd years longer. And most 1% clubs were like, yeah, they liked us. Hey, Redrum, whatever, man. But when all these little small clubs started copying it and putting it on and trying to redefine what that shape makes, it became a problem. And that, listen, like you did your story on it, that added to it. And I'm not coming at you, I appreciate the acknowledgement, because it's great to be acknowledged for something. Yeah, I created the 13 and a half diamond and I also took it off, but
you're still doing the 13 and a half.
Yeah,
It's
we
just the
still,
diamond shape.
it's 13 and a half means something to us. We quickly came up with an arrowhead. There are a few native clubs that wear the arrowhead. It's a symbol of strength, of honor, of power in indigenous communities. I mean, the arrowhead is universal for indigenous people globally, not just, I mean, almost every culture had an arrow or some sort, right? An arrowhead. So it kind of fit the narrative of the club. It's a better fit for us. And there are places that, even before we took it off, that we were still in negotiations that didn't want us wearing the diamond. And we were in negotiations with them for a while. So, it opened, it opens doors too. You know what I mean? But yeah, there were guys in the club that were like, "Yo, man, we want to wear a diamond," and would, and they bounced. That it meant that much to them. And like I said, God bless them. No, have no negative feelings towards them if that's how they left. And the guys that went and wanted to really be in a diamond club, and they're experiencing that now. And again, God bless them. No hard feelings, or it's just that for us who remained and were always constantly understanding or constantly living the vision of what we created, the diamond did not fit or serve the mission of the club. And I like I said, I probably should have changed it when I changed the entire patch, but it just didn't come to me. And again, I thought that I could redefine it. Instead of having it on the left side, we put it on the right side. Try to, you can't redefine a shape that's been in existence before you were born, and that means something. And that's special, so special and precious to certain clubs and individuals that guys will do anything to defend it. It definitely, it takes a man to say, "Hey, I was wrong." And I was definitely wrong for keeping that on with our mission. Like we should have sat down and said, "Hey, But again, nobody was really, saying. We were just moving along, But there's some old school guys in the club who were part of the very beginning, And one of our old brothers, this dude Niles, and he was like, our Brooklyn guys, and he was like, man, he goes, I was just waiting for that. He goes, I knew eventually somebody was gonna go, because again, but these are guys who really lived it in the beginning, really lived it. So when it came up, they were just like, yeah, man, who cares, bro? Thank goodness we're not doing that anymore. It is, it is what it is.